Empowering You Ministry presents From Ashes to Beauty, a domestic violence documentary directed by Cynthia Collins. We open the doors to truth, healing, and hope. This film brings powerful voices together to shed light on the silent struggles and the unbreakable strengths of survivors. To begin, we welcome Pastor Meneva, Alston, who will share words of encouragement and remind us that no one is alone in this journey. Next, Rachel Walker, victim advocate for the Next Step Ministries, will provide valuable resources, support, and guidance for those affected by domestic violence. We will also hear heartfelt testimonies from brave survivors: Christina, Perrin, Stewart, domestic violence survivor, and psalmist; Dr. Michele Myers, survivor and assistant professor at Wake Forest University; Kristin O'Leary, survivor and Gulf War veteran. Their stories of resilience and survival remind us that beauty can rise from ashes. We are also honored to feature Iduma Ikor, communication book consultant, Amazon best-selling author, editor, publisher, and international life coach from Lagos, Nigeria. She is the author of The Intentional Woman, A Woman's Guide to the Complete Awakening and Manifestation of Her Greatness, a book filled with deep truths and revelations, a productivity catalyst and manifestation encyclopedia and inspiration tonic for women everywhere. Together, these voices bring wisdom, courage, and empowerment to help break the silence and spark lasting change. This is From Ashes to Beauty, directed by Cynthia Collins. Let their stories touch your heart, open your mind, inspire a movement of hope and healing.
Greetings! My name is Pastor Meneva Alston, coming to you regarding the From Ashes to Beauty domestic violence documentary. We want to let you know that as a community, we're coming together yet again to let you know that you are not alone in this. If you have recovered, if you have made it through, praise God and congratulations. If you are still on your journey, we want to be able to provide you with some helpful resources to strengthen you on your walk. We want to let you know that you can go from ashes to beauty as it relates to domestic violence, as it relates to the deep-seated trauma, hurt, pain, and yes, sometimes even shame associated with being involved in domestic violence situations. We want to love on you and let you know that you are not alone. And not only that, we want to provide you with beneficial resources from right here within your community that will enable you to stand stronger one day at a time. So please, ma'am, please, sir, come out and join us on October 18th at 2 p.m. and share and be a part of the From Ashes to Beauty domestic violence documentary. We look forward to seeing you there. Be blessed.
My name is Rachel, and I am the victim advocate for Next Step Ministries. Next Step Ministries is a nonprofit organization located in Kernersville, North Carolina. We offer various assistance programs to individuals experiencing domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. There are two parts of our program that I want to highlight. The first is our emergency safe house, and the second are the victim advocacy services that we offer. In our safe house, individuals will receive a minimum stay of 14 days and a maximum stay of 90 days. During their stay, they will experience comprehensive support from our resident advocates and our case manager. Our resident advocates are available 24/7, both in person and through our crisis line. Our crisis line offers crisis intervention services and is our entry point for our safe house. Our case manager, much like our victim advocate, is going to assist the individual with meeting their goals. All participants are going to come from a different starting point, so their goals are going to look different. Some individuals will be able to meet their goals within their 90-day stay, within their 14 to 90-day stay. Other individuals are going to need a long-term program to adequately meet their needs. The case manager's job is to determine which of those it will be and assist them with meeting their goals through the referrals to the agencies that we partner with. While in the Safe House, all clients will have all of their basic necessities covered. On the other side, we have our victim advocacy services. Our victim advocate assists individuals in the community who are experiencing domestic violence, and this can come through a wide range of services. Victim advocates provide court and hospital accompaniment, assistance with filing 50Bs and 50Cs, which are commonly known as domestic violence protective orders and civil no contact orders. They provide transportation to domestic violence related appointments. They provide referrals to community organizations that we partner with, whether that's for government programs, for housing, appointments, or employment and job training. The victim advocates also offer educational-based workshops to the community to bring awareness to topics like consent, domestic violence 101, and healthy relationships. The victim advocates also run a support group. It's a psychoeducational support group, and this meets on Tuesdays. The victim advocates can assist in various other ways as well. They also work closely with the Kernersville Police Department to assist the needs of individuals within the Kernersville community. Again, my name is Rachel, and I'm the victim advocate for Next Step Ministries. So if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please don't hesitate to contact our crisis line at 336-413-5858. And if you think that you need a victim advocate, you can speak to me. My phone number is 336-413-7054, and my extension is 109. Or if you are someone who would like to volunteer or participate in giving back to the community and assisting individuals who are experiencing domestic violence, please also reach out. We can use all the help we can get. Thank you.
My name is Kristina Perrin, and I am a victim survivor of domestic violence. Just a little bit about my story is I was engaged in a relationship with a significant other. And my significant other loved me, but he did not love me in the way that I felt like he should love me. Not only was I being beaten, but I was left alone. I was left afraid, and I was left physically harmed. He loved me, is what he said, after every time he would physically assault me. He and I shared, we have 2 kids together. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to keep our family together at all cost. And as a result of my trying to continue to keep this relationship going, the domestic violence, the physical abuse continued. And as I said, every time he would beat me, he would tell me that he loved me. And so I saw love as physical abuse until I learned that I don't deserve it. Not only did I not deserve it, but I was more than what he was giving me. And so I had to find strength within myself to be the example for my kids, to show them what love really looks like. Love does not hurt. Love is kind. And he was not at the time loving to me. And so it was really, really difficult for me because I have a son. My son was actually born as a result of this domestic violence. And he was born, I was 24 weeks when I had him. He was born 1 pound. And he endured 3.5 months of being in the hospital as a result. And even after that, I continued to be in this relationship. I continued because my goal was to keep the family together. But then the more I kept thinking, the more I kept telling myself, I've got to show my kids what love really is. And so I got out of that relationship. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't over a few months. It had taken me a couple of years to actually release myself from this relationship. And I gotta tell you all something. I am so much better for it. Not only am I so much better for it, but my kids are so much better for it as well. Now, here was the thing. Because this was the father of my children, they still had to have a relationship with him. And so what I had to do was set boundaries for that. And I set boundaries. And as a result, like I said, I'm better for it. They're better for it. My son just turned 30. My other daughter is 31. And they are both doing well. We are doing well. I am a conqueror because I saw myself more than what he saw me. And so I am just grateful for this opportunity to share with you all just a little bit about the things that I've endured in this physical relationship. So I want to tell someone who is looking at this, you are more than how you are treated. Love does not hurt. Physically, love does not hurt. Love is kind. Love is patient. And so I just want to encourage you to let you know that you are loved, you are appreciated, and you are valued. And I want to just do this little song for you, if I can. I love you. I love you. I love you today because he cared for us in such a special way. That's why I thank you for seeing who you really are. I want to tell you, you are a star.
Domestic violence is a painful and far-reaching issue that affects millions of individuals every year. For many, it's not just a statistic, it's a lived reality. I am one of those individuals. I survived an abusive relationship that not only endangered my physical safety, but also had a lasting emotional impact on my children and me. My story is one of pain, fear, and struggle, but it also one of strength, hope, and healing. For years, I lived in silence. My ex-husband was abusive, and over time, the abuse escalated. One of the most terrifying moments was when he choked me. In that moment, I realized just how serious and life-threatening the situation had become. Abuse isn't always visible bruises. It's also fear, control, and emotional manipulation. But the physical violence made the danger unbearable. At first, I didn't know what to do. I wanted to give my daughters a loving two-parent home, but this was not what they were witnessing. They were witnessing violence, and I feared for what that would mean for their futures. Children who grow up in abusive homes often carry emotional scars and may come to believe that such behavior is normal. I couldn't let that happen. I wanted better for them. I wanted better for myself. I had enough. I finally confided in my mother. That was the turning point. She listened with love and without judgment. Her wisdom and support gave me courage to look at my situation honestly. She reminded me of my worth and my responsibility to protect my children. Talking to her made me realize I wasn't alone and that seeking help wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a sign of act of survival. I made up my mind that leaving was the best for everyone involved. Leaving was not easy. It required careful planning, emotional strength, and a lot of courage. I had to overcome fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of retaliation, fear of starting over. But I knew staying was no longer an option. I had to break the cycle for myself and for my daughters. They deserved to grow up in a home where love didn't come with violence or fear. I walked alone away with everything. I only asked for custody for my girls. I cut all ties because I was done. I found inner strength I did not know I had. My girls and I slowly began rebuilding our lives. Our journey after leaving was a bit challenging, but each step brought us more peace and freedom. My daughters and I are now thriving. That journey was well worth it. Domestic violence thrives in silence. Too many people feel ashamed, isolated, and afraid to speak up. But sharing our stories can be powerful. It can help others feel less alone and more empowered to seek help. No one deserves to be abused. Everyone deserves safety, respect, and love. If my story can offer one message, it's this: there is life after abuse. There is strength in leaving, even when it feels impossible. And there is hope, even in the darkest moments. I found my strength for my daughters and for myself, and the strength saved my life.
Hi, I am Uduma Ikoro, the founder of the Intentional Women Africa. I'm from Nigeria. Wow, I'm super excited to be part of this domestic violence documentary. When I heard about the theme, Ashes to Beauty, I was excited. You know why? It is because I talk about the beauty of women and I help women to realize their beauty, not just the physical beauty, but the inner beauty. So, in Africa, Nigeria precisely, I work with women. I work with young ladies and girls. One thing that I have learned over time is that domestic violence uh, domestic violence actually has lots of factors that enable it in our society. I call it a cancer eating deep into our relationship and family system. Well, not to talk about the causes or the factors that enable it. I will only point a few that has to do with women. And I've come to know that when a woman do not know her rights, has lost her self-esteem, do not have her financial independence, or it's such a person who do not know how to set boundaries and stand up against a lot of societal pressures and family stereotypes and belief system. That is when we see more women falling victims of domestic violence. But I help women in Africa with solutions. And I'm here to share some of those things that I do to help them to stand on their feet and manifest their greatness. The first thing is I help women with self-discovery journey. When you know who you are, when you know your purpose, when you identify your strength, when you also know those weaknesses, you will definitely know how to protect yourself, how to set boundaries, how to build yourself strong so that nobody would put you where you do not belong. I help women in building their self-esteem. Many of them come to us possessing low self-esteem due to the abuses, due to ignorance. Help them to build up a high self-esteem, recognize their self-worth, carry themselves as they ought to with women with prestige. I help them to crush their fears and tear every label and override stereotypes. This has given many women wings to fly and soar in their business, in their career, and in life, even in their relationship. I help women to own their strength, own their voice, and remember that the beauty is not to attract people to use them, rather, it is to attract the right people to help harness their potential, help them to manifest their greatness, and also achieve their purpose in life. This is what I help women do. I help them to know their right and stand for the right at all times against family or blood relationship or any kind of relationship, no matter the person involved. I help women to build their empire and own their money. They say the money stop nonsense, and that is true. I ensure that women know the skills, the experience, the expertise, and knowledge to convert into an income yielding enterprise and use it to build themselves and build an empire that will not only sustain them but sustain other generations. I help women during the book reading events, during the conferences, summits, and webinars to network healthily and also assess a trustworthy community of women willing to give support and love. Another thing that has also helped me in achieving this is a wonderful tool which I describe as self-manifestation encyclopedia. This self-manifestation encyclopedia is the Intentional Woman book written by Oduma Ikore. Yes, yours truly. Because this book has helped us to hold conversations, to also point women to their qualities, point them to the fears and how to crush those fears, and a whole lot of things. And there have been lots of testimonials coming from these two. The Intentional Women Africa also give financial support, give also academic scholarship to the children of widows and single mothers, so that they will have lesser burden and focus on manifesting themselves and building more strength to sustain their children and even anything that they are building for the future. So I tell women that there is greatness, there is beauty, and there is strength in them. And my mantra is you own yourself, your greatness. And I'm saying this to every woman listening to me today, that you have beauty, you have strength, you have greatness in you. All you need to do is to discover who you are, own your voice, use your strength, your beauty, and the potentials lying on the inside to stand up and fulfill your purpose in this life. Nobody, nobody has the potential to tear you down or to destroy you except the one you permit. And if you know your self-worth, you can show yourself so much love by setting boundaries and ensuring that you stand up for yourself at all times. So, even if you are downcasted, even if you've gone through a whole lot, you've been abused, you are coverless at this moment, you find yourself as a needy. I need you to know that you can rise up from those ashes and become beautiful than ever before. You can rise up from that lower level and be great again and help others to be great. In the book, The Intentional Woman, there are stories of other women who achieved this. And we encourage anyone listening to ensure that they stand up and own their voice. Don't give up yet. There is so much to manifest. Remember, you own yourself your greatness. I remain Oduma Ikoro, and I look forward to celebrating you.
Hello, my name is Kristin O'Leary, and I am a domestic violence survivor. And what I'm here to tell you about today is that there isn't a certain look for domestic violence. I was in a professional situation with another professional, and we were on a board of directors together, and we spent a lot of time together over in a football league, and we had a lot of decisions to make together. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was best for the organization that we were serving. And we spent a lot of time one-on-one trying to make sure that we were making choices that were for the best overall for all of the children, not just a select few, which is what had been transpiring before we became board members. So as we spent so much time together, we took a liking for one another, and we started dating. And we dated for approximately 12 years before I really started to get to know this person intimately. And so we would appear as two professionals on a board, but while we were alone, we learned a lot more about each other and what each other's goals were and what we wanted for our children and that sort of thing. What I found out was that I mattered more to him in certain situations than I did in others. And what I saw from my parents, who were still married, that their love for each other was the same always. There shouldn't be an audience, a different audience should not decide the love factor, is what I know. So I started wondering why certain audiences changed his idea of what our relationship was, and why I had to not be with him in certain instances. And so I did, in the back of my mind, really start thinking about whether I should be in this relationship or not. But I'm not a quitter. I know one thing about myself is I'm not a quitter, and so I continued to try everything that I could to understand this person. And I felt like I was given 120% and he was given maybe 60%. And so observing red flags, we must observe the red flags and not ignore the red flags. When we see the red flags, we need to take a step back and look at why there's a red flag and what are we going to do about the red flag, and should we wave the red flag. What I didn't do was keep silent about it. I discussed all my feelings with this person, and I never was getting the truth. I knew I wasn't getting the truth, and the truth is one of the most important things there is in a relationship. So what I found was that the things that I had chose to believe all along, really, I knew weren't the truth. And he just had a conniving way of trying to convince me that he was telling me the truth. Now, the first time, he didn't like me to be around his family. He isolated me a lot, and it was during the isolated times when he would show me more affection than he would in a public scenario. But what I did not know was that when you have a gut feeling, your gut is telling you, you should always follow your gut instinct, because you have been with yourself as long as you've been in existence, and so you know yourself. You know what feels right and what feels wrong. And I knew that he had been lying to me. But to think, for 12 years you've been lying. And denial is one of the factors in this. He denied the whole time. And so I kept moving forward, but I would take a couple steps back more so as I went on. I would end up looking back on this relationship and wondering, am I setting a good example for my children? Are they seeing what I'm seeing and choosing not to say anything to mom? Because I'm raising two boys by myself this whole time, and our kids knew each other, and were they looking at us funny, or were they wondering what was really going on? Because they knew what a relationship was when their father and I were together, and what it was supposed to look like. Their father and I didn't have any domestic disputes. We just grew apart. So they knew what a relationship was supposed to look like. And I know that there was times when I would say that when he was coming over, my kids their shoulders would drop, and I knew that they weren't real happy. And I was wondering if they were more intuitive than I was thinking that they were. But I knew that they were my pride and joy, and so what they thought did matter to me. And so there did come a day when I felt like I was strong enough to just say no more. And we had went away together on a trip for the weekend. And when I was packing for that trip, when I got my stuff together, I brought a bat with me. And he said, "What do you need that bat for?" And I said, "I don't know, but I'm going to need it." And I did know, I just knew in my heart I was going to need that bat. And so the following weekend, he was going to go on the same trip to the same place with the same friends, but I chose not to go. And when he came back from that trip, And he backed up in the driveway. I said, don't back up here. I said, I want you to go ahead and take your stuff and go on to your house. Don't back up in my driveway anymore. This is my driveway. And so I went on to the camper to get my belongings, and he come up on the camper, and it was the first time that he had physically assaulted me. But he hit me and he knocked me down, and he commenced to beating the crap out of me. And then he locked me in the camper. So I thought that he was probably going to take me somewhere and finish me off. But luckily, fortunately for me, my neighbor came out, and she was wanting to know what was going on. She could hear me screaming. And he unlocked the camper, and I busted out of the camper and went in the house and called the police. And what I know is that day was my rude awakening, because I know that's not what love looks like. I know that if he could walk on that camper and beat me like he did, that he didn't love me. Because that you don't do that to somebody you love. You don't harm somebody that you love. And so what message I want to get across today is that when you see a red flag, don't overlook the red flag. A white flag is a peaceful flag, but a red flag is not a flag you're supposed to ignore. It's not one that you're supposed to accept. It's not one, red is red for a reason. When somebody gets red in their face and they might be angered about something, a red flag is a red flag, and it's not going to change colors. Typically, a person does not change their ways. Now, I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying typically a person does not. I only needed one example of that behavior. Physical harm, we had done a lot of communicating recklessly, because I knew in my heart that there was something wrong in this relationship, and I knew it wasn't me. But I chose for some reason to keep trying. I wanted this relationship to work for some reason, but it wasn't meant to be. God had something more for me. And when we stop focusing on God and put our focus on man, there's the first problem. God has to come first in every relationship. If we're not putting God first, we don't have things in order. And if we don't have things in order, they're not going to come out right, is what I know, what I have learned from experience. And one thing that I knew in this relationship is I would go to church and he didn't ever want to go with me. Red flag. Red flag. So I saw these red flags. I saw them everywhere. I saw them on the field, off the field, in the home, out of the home. And I chose to overlook those red flags. Today, I am not a red flag overlooker. Today I know better. I know that when somebody wants to put anything before God, that it's in the wrong order. There is a pecking order, and God has to be at the top. If he isn't, then there's things that there's work to do. And I'd like to think I've done the work. I've not been in a relationship since, but I do know my worth. I know my value. I know that my Father wants me to be treated like a princess. And a man doesn't have to be the one to do that. He does it on a daily basis. He allows me to see how he wants me to be, through him and through his people, through my brothers and sisters. So if I'm never in a relationship again with a man, it's okay, because God has brought people in my life that show me my value and my worth. And we have to know that it isn't for everybody. Sometimes we're supposed to not be in a relationship. Sometimes God has other work for us to do. That we are all children of God, and he has given us gifts that we are supposed to share with other people. And if we're not sharing those gifts, we have work to do. We have to, if you don't know what your gift is, you're supposed to focus on. You know that God has given everybody, in every individual, He has given gifts. And they're different, and they look different on different people. But I know my gift of helping others in several different ways. I know how to write well, and I usually know how to speak well. I feel like I'm tripping over my own tongue. But I know that there are human beings out there that need help with, it might be the smallest thing, but to them it's not small. To me it might be something small, but to them it might be the world. And I know that communicating with people is hard for some. I feel like I'm able to communicate well with people, and I feel like I can get a good point across. And I felt like I was backpedaling, trying to get a certain point across to this person I was with. But I've been free ever since I stopped having a relationship with this person. After he abused me physically, that was it for me. It only took me one time for the physical abuse. But what I learned is that my value is great. My value to the world, to certain people, is great, and that there's nobody else in the world that can do to others what I can, because those are the gifts God gave me, and that I must share those gifts with other people, and that I can be valuable in my own way. And as long as I am focused on God, as long as I'm focused on what He would have me share with others, then I'm in a good place. And that is where I want to be, in His good place and His good grace. And I hope that the things that I had to say today made an impact on somebody, because they say if you reach just one, then you're doing good. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you.